Hi, everyone. I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with my friend Rahul Kashyap, who is the president and CEO of Awake. Rahul, thanks for joining us today. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Pleasure joining you again, Edward. Again.
You bet. That's great. Now, before we get into maybe some themes, tell us quickly about the company. I suspect a lot of people know what you do, but why don't you give a little recap on what your products and services are?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Awake is, it's a fascinating time to be in the space. Now, I think Gartner and several other large analyst firms are calling it NDR, Network Detection Response. It's almost like a very well-established play in the industry where people, who are now dealing with the challenge of the complete transformative nature of network today, right? Where when you say network today, you mean a little bit of cloud, a little bit of data center, you have IoT, you have, shadow IT going on. There's so many aspects of network which are concerning for the CIOs and the CISOs. And that's exactly where we help our customers, some of who are in the journey to cloud, some of who are in a hybrid environment and will remain like that, some of who are still completely on-prem, right? So it's a pretty broad spectrum. Literally anybody who has a network can be a customer in some sense. So fascinating area. So what we have done is we have built a pretty sophisticated technology overall, a stack of multiple data science oriented approaches, as well as making it open, instead of having a black box, which is just saying, this is AI and trusted. We let our customers see exactly how they're operating, how can they use this, how can they benefit from them, and then how can they, use this and scale this in large organizations. So we have several key technologies. One is called Entity IQ, wherein we identify every entity, which is every device, and then every user type of the device in your organization. So we, get started by showing you visibility in your environment of, what kind of devices are there, and how are they behaving. And then we have what is called as AVA, which is the Awake Virtual Assistant. It is designed to triage and help you with the investigation. So think of it almost like a continuous learning assistant sitting virtually with you in your SOC and leveraging the cloud and threat intelligence to triage events for you. So that's a very powerful capability as well. And then the other piece is the forensics piece. We do threat hunting and we do full packet capture as well. So a lot of our enterprise customers, they really appreciate it because sometimes by the time you see an investigation, you are trying to, you need to know what happened behind, few days, few weeks ago. So we capture and store all of that information and then help them join the entire timeline and so that they can be more useful and productive in their investigations. So yeah, that's kind of the primary use cases overall. Very most common use case is, involved in the digital transformation of most enterprises.
Well, that's a wonderful tech summary of your platform and services. Really good. I want to transition a little bit. We're filming this it's still in the middle of the pandemic, August 2020. And I want to ask you, as a president and CEO of a tech company, what's it been like? Have you had to transition the team to more virtual? Has it been, what kind of experience and what are you hearing from your employees? Like, has there been any stress levels you've had to deal with the team? What have you dealt with?
Yeah, definitely challenging times for anybody running a company right now or any operations because the world has completely flipped in some sense, right? Good thing is that I don't have to drive in traffic in the Bay Area. I save a lot of time there. So I keep on telling all our employees that you have saved so much time in travel and spend with your family, right? But I think initially when the whole pandemic started, early March, I myself struggled because I'm used to being with people, with customers, being with my employees, having lunch with them, and suddenly all of that went away, right? So it took me a while to really digest this and kind of come to terms with that this is going to remain like this for a while. And we devised several strategies internally. The good thing was that we were already set up for remote work. So we were already friendly in terms of remote work culture. So that really helped us to quickly adapt to that. and that's been going fairly well on our part. But then we started new initiatives like now we have at least once a week yoga. Then we have different kind of fitness training we do every alternate week or so. We have virtual whiskey sessions on Friday evenings with my team where we just chill out and relax. And then with my staff, with my direct reports and team, I created this concept called walk the talk, wherein we try to take few meetings in a day where you don't log into Zoom, where you are not logging into video because you don't have to. You don't have to do it for every meeting, right? But then you get your step counts up, and then you make sure that you're taking care of your health as you're working without even realizing it, right? And then as a result of that, I just completed a couple of weeks back a 1,000-kilometer race in the pandemic. This is a certificate I'll remember for a long time because I never thought I would walk so much in just 3 months time frame. And many other folks in the company have also done similar stuff just to take care of their health and well-being, right? Because I think people underestimate that it may seem that working from home is a lot more convenient, but it's not so. Specifically when you have kids and you have other responsibilities, so it can be a very stressful time for a lot of people. So we are making sure that we are balancing the intensity of a startup by also taking care of the employees and including ourselves. So we've created these peer groups where we are bouncing off ideas, and we have a work from home diary where we share a lot of fun stuff and humor stuff as well on a daily basis. So I would say overall, a lot of learnings from this. We have adapted, and I'm incredibly proud of the team, the way they have come to terms with this, and kept the lights on and continuing to deliver, and at the same time taking it in our stride. So I'm very proud of my team.
Do you have any comment on sort of the sales, marketing, and also fundraising environment during COVID? I think you've got a funny point to share
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Sales marketing is also challenging. Those teams are definitely far worse hit than the engineering teams, obviously, because that whole business unit, that whole operates by going in front of the customers and being there, right? So yeah, we did several interesting initiatives. We first of all in April we launched what is called the touchless sale. Now it's become a norm. It's a new norm now, right? The idea was literally overnight every top-notch salesperson suddenly has to do inside sales in some sense, right? This is what we all are doing in some sense. So that was a challenge to adapt to. It wasn't easy. And we are very fortunate that we also started our channel partner program. So channel partners have been a big add-on for us and our sales and marketing teams as well to help us amplify our reach. So that has been helping us quite a bit. But I think the sales team and the marketing team have adapted fairly well now. I think now, as they say, the new norm, definitely it's becoming the new normal now. In terms of funding environment, very interesting. In April, we announced our fundraise. I think we were probably the first cybersecurity company to raise when the whole pandemic hit us in the first 6 weeks or so.
Win the award.
Yeah, and a lot of people, ask me, give me probably more credit than I deserve, because the reality is that we were already fundraising before the pandemic, came and hit us. It just that, we closed around that time frame, but it was definitely challenging, and we are fortunate that people really saw that cybersecurity is a very important sector despite the pandemic, because as we expected, attackers have stepped up the game as well. They are not going to take the coronavirus break. They are going to continue and be relentless. So I suspect that investment in cybersecurity will continue, and this is a very high growth sector in general in the entire industry, and it will continue to do so as well. We have a lot of challenges coming our way with the elections and a lot of things, and so it's all going to be cyber now, right? Yeah.
You think that in terms of the work arrangement with your team, you think the rubber band will snap all the way back, or do you think you'll keep maybe a little bit more virtual than you were before? We hear different things from different teams. I'm curious what you think, like kind of post coronavirus, what you think the work environment will be like at Awake.
Good. It's a good question. I think it will be it won't be back to where it was, right? Because I know for sure that there are some groups of people who desperately want to get back to work because they
Yeah.
miss that work environment and work culture, right? Yeah, right. Me too, right? And then there are some folks, they're like, what, I can work from home and I can be productive. Why have all that hassle, right? So we are going to be open-minded about it. Ultimately, it's about productivity, and that's very key for a startup like ours. So as long as we are able to deliver, we'll approach it with a very open mind. But I know that there's a pretty big contingent in my company which is ready to get back to work and get back to the normal life for sure.
Be interesting. Now, you mentioned threat a minute ago. I'm curious, when we ask, we're doing research and talking to CEOs of both tech companies and enterprise, they'll say that the threat has increased in the last few months. Sometimes we'll hear social engineering and phishing and so on, but you have visibility into something that I value, namely network. I've devoted my life to network security, so I enjoy talking to you. But what do you see, like sort of setting aside some of the obvious things? I get that we're all home and, the phone's going to ring and it's somebody, social engineering you. But on the network, are you seeing differences? Is it changing? If I do a cross section of what you're looking at, how is it different now? If it is different, then maybe it was a year or 2 or 3 years ago. What's been your experience?
Yeah, it's very interesting. When I use the word network, I use the term new network because I think the core concept of network has been fundamentally redesigned in some sense, right? Uh, so it's far more distributed, it's far more fragmented, probably that's the better word, today than it ever has been. Uh, and that's becoming a problem for a lot of CISOs and operators. How do they control? Because people have I as a developer can create my own Amazon account and start using it for corporate work, use workloads and so on. So how do you control those kind of cases, right? How do you have controls and compliance over your own organization when you have so many ways to get out? So that's a very big challenge for a lot of people. And then you have SaaS applications. I can over encrypted channel upload data and store it, and the corporation has no visibility of what really went out or came in, right? Uh, so those are some new challenges. And then the other piece is encrypted traffic. So there's a lot more TLS, there's a lot more encrypted traffic in the network today than it ever has been in the past, right? So these are some of the key changes overall, what constitutes the new network, and how we're tackling them is, we have really invested in serious R&D in some of these areas specific. For example, encrypted traffic. So we have invested in something called as encrypted traffic analytics, wherein just by looking at the encrypted traffic, how the flows go in, what comes in, what goes out, even if it's an encrypted channel, we try to decipher what kind of application you're running. Are you downloading something? Are you chatting with somebody? So there's a lot of interesting stuff which you can decipher just by looking at an encrypted channel, which earlier wasn't possible, right? So that's a big investment, and we believe that as the world has more and more encryption, our solution will be more and more relevant because of the IP we have created around the encryption piece, which is very relevant for the new network today as well, right? And then we use all of that analysis, and then we bring it back, and then we build out what is called as the security knowledge graph in the product, which is like the heart of the product. So what we do here is that we gather every device, every user, and how they have been behaving after we tag them, and we build out a complete detailed security knowledge graph of your organization, almost like a proprietary, know-how of everything that exists in your environment. And that graph will have folks from the cloud. It could be GCP, it could be Amazon, it could be data center. Basically, it's from all over your everything going over your wire essentially. And then with that visibility, now you can do a lot of interesting things. You could do threat hunting, you could do automated threat detections, you could do investigations, you can do a lot of digital forensics. So we kind of bring it all together in a single place, and then we enable our customers and users to leverage that intelligence and the data science models, and then and build it so that it can be used and tweaked for various use cases, as per the SOC needs and so on.
Rahul, to close, I want to ask you kind of be predictive here. You've had a long career. I've known you a while. You've been in some really great companies. Obviously, Awake is an amazing company. You're going to be very successful. What do you think? Like, as people ask you about cybersecurity in general, like kind of the threat to infrastructure and whether the offense is ahead of the defense, setting aside maybe you and I both run businesses, but putting that aside and just being citizens,
Hmm.
are you kind of optimistic here that things get better? Or do you worry about big hacks like the critical infrastructure? What either keeps you awake at night or alternatively allows you to sleep well at night? Where are you on that spectrum in terms of kind of looking out 3, 5,
Hmm.
10 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, my background has been offensive, so I used to be an offensive pen tester myself, so I understand that very well. And that world hasn't changed. There are a lot of new innovations happening in that front as well. So offense is kind of what drives the defense in some sense, right? So I've been building defensive products for a long time, but that offensive mindset really helps me to also make sure that we are building something that is future proof, right? So I think the important piece here is, every platform, and that's kind of how we try to tackle this problem in Awake, is we are not trying to do only a very small niche play of only doing a very corner use case of, say, cloud security or IoT security. We're doing a broad network security play, which brings all of this together. So I think that's an important aspect that I'm optimistic about. If you have broader platforms which can be implemented well, there's a lot more benefit for defenders to leverage. Uh, but again, to your question, I would say I'm fairly optimistic. Uh, you know, I know there's a lot of pessimism in cybersecurity. I know, there's, there are bad news coming all the time. There are hacks going on, and we see a lot more in the media. And I'm sure there's a lot more to come as well. But I think overall as an industry, we have moved forward significantly. I still remember this was my first startup. It was like I think 1999 to 2000,
Mhm.
and I had to convince people that they needed security, right? Because the need for security was not well known at that
Right.
time, right? Like this was my IDS days, right? But now people know that cybersecurity is an investment. They all have to. They have to invest. So that's no longer that kind of problem. It's all about which tools are relevant, how do you leverage your budgets, and how do you feel comfortable after your investment that you have made the right investment, right? So we have definitely moved forward as an industry. There's lots more to do. It's a complex problem. It's a multidimensional problem, the way I call it, right? So there are several aspects, several angles of doing any kind of detection or building any platform. So ultimately, so that's I think the different problem where you have a lot more vendors now than ever before. So you have a lot more choices to go after as well. So that's one more challenge I think many CISOs have to tackle as well. How do you select best breed? How do you select what is really relevant for you when so many things, everybody says AI and ML today, right? So I think, yeah, those are some of the new challenges, which is probably still better off than where we were, say, 10 years ago. I think that fundamentally the industry is moving forward, and I also feel that industry is also more thinking about security ground up. Like, for example, Microsoft is a very good example. They have invested in secure operating system. I still remember the days of RPC vulnerabilities and the worms and whatnot, right? So we have really come a long way where big vendors like Apple, Google, Microsoft, and so on have invested in security to build better products fundamentally, right? Obviously, there is nothing going to be perfect, but I'm very optimistic, Ed, in terms of the industry is definitely moving forward overall.
Well, I share your optimism, and it's wonderful to hear your remarks. Listen, on behalf of the folks listening and our team at Tag Cyber, I want to thank you for taking some time to share. I really enjoyed it, and I think people watching all benefited. So keep up the good work. It's nice to see you guys doing well, and maybe we catch up again soon and hear more good things about your team at Awake. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed.
Very good, and we'll see you all next time.